sport science membina satu jurulatih knowledgeable.
It's all about bringing the very best you can, and some days you have better days than others, but it's all about preparation and bringing the very best to the table.
Coaches-coaches yang berpengalaman supaya ini akan memendekkan masa proses untuk menjadikan player ini bagus.
Coaching e-learning system adalah inisiatif baru dalam mengintegrasikan teknologi di dalam senario pengajaran dan pembelajaran kejurulatihan terkini. Malaysia Sports Coach Registry atau MSCR merupakan satu sistem pendaftaran jurulatih di mana ia berperanan sebagai hub pengumpulan dan penyimpan data jurulatih supaya lebih sistematik dan berpusat. Program Women Can Coach diperkenalkan bagi meningkatkan pelibatan wanita dalam bidang kejurulatihan dan membangunkan kumpulan komuniti wanita daripada akar umbi ke tahap tertinggi dalam industri sukan. Program Sports Coaching Plus merupakan kerjasama bersama Persatuan Sukan Kebangsaan bagi mentauliahkan para jurulatih dengan lesen kejurulatihan di bawah skim perlesenan Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan atau SLKK. Program ini menumpukan kombinasi ilmu sains sukan dan sukan spesifik yang membantu kepada peningkatan prestasi atlet secara keseluruhan.
Okey, baik. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Selamat kembali ke program ataupun program anjuran Akademi Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan iaitu Coaching Talk and Share. Jadi untuk setelah kita mengambil sedikit masa untuk kembali bersiaran di Facebook dan YouTube AKK untuk Coaching Talk and Share ini. Jadi hari ini kita akan kembali dengan siri yang keempat untuk tahun 2022 ini yang topiknya berkaitan dengan pemakanan sukan. Jadi saya ternyatalah bukan orang yang tepat, orang yang sebenar untuk membawakan topik tersebut kerana saya di sini hanya selaku moderator untuk pagi ini, program pada pagi ini. Jadi kita akan bersama-sama dengan seorang panel jemputan yang juga merupakan pegawai pemakanan sukan dari Pusat Pemakanan Sukan Institut Sukan Negara (ISN). Jadi sebelum saya jemput panel kita pada hari ini, saya ucapkan ribuan terima kasihlah kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang sudi untuk bersama-sama dengan kita Akademi Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan pada pagi ini. Diucapkan selamat datang kepada tak kira siapa jua anda, jika anda merupakan seorang jurulatih, guru-guru, ibu bapa, rakan-rakan staf di ISN dan MSN sendiri, selamat datang. Terima kasih kerana sentiasa memberikan sokongan kepada program-program anjuran Akademi Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan. Mungkin saya boleh update juga perkembangan semasa program-program anjuran di Akademi Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan yang kini sedang rancak berlangsung. Jadi seperti biasalah, khusus yang menjadi tumpuan kita, khusus sains sukan yang masih lagi sedang berlangsung, yang kini sedang berlangsung adalah di Dewan Perdana Institut Sukan Negara iaitu kursus sains sukan tahap 3 yang sudah pun memasuki hari ke-5 jika tidak silap saya, hari ke-5, dan seterusnya baru saja semalam telah berlangsung kursus Basic Life Support BLS yang dianjurkan oleh cawangan pendidikan profesional yang sudah pun berlangsung di Dewan Commonwealth pada hari semalam. Mungkin ada di kalangan peserta-peserta yang hadir semalam juga turut hadir bersama-sama dengan kita pada pagi ini. Terima kasih saya ucapkan. Dan untuk makluman juga pada minggu hadapan kita akan ada juga kursus sains sukan tahap 2 di Dewan Perdana ISN, dan begitu juga dengan minggu-minggu yang selanjutnya penuh dengan program-program anjuran Akademi Kejurulatihan Kebangsaan dengan kursus-kursus untuk memberikan ilmu tambahan kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang khususnya jurulatih-jurulatih di luar sana yang inginkan ilmu berkaitan dengan sains sukan. Okey, baiklah. Saya rasa saya tak nak buang masa dah. Panel kita pun dah bersedia di sebelah sana. Jadi tanpa buang masa, saya menjemput Puan See Min dari Pusat Pemakanan Sukan Institut Sukan Negara. Jadi hai See Min.
Hai.
Apa khabar? Baik
Ya.
Alright, so See Min kalau tak salah saya lah turut terlibat dengan Sukan C tempoh hari, betul?
Ya, betul. Saya telah mengikuti kontijen Malaysia untuk pergi ke Sukan C dekat Hanoi. So untuk memberi perkhidmatan pemakanan sukan lah dekat sana.
Jadi itu merupakan first experience See Min bersama kontijen di sukan yang kejohanan yang besar ataupun sebelum ni pernah?
Ya, ini adalah kali pertama saya mengikuti kontijen Malaysia untuk major tournament lah.
Jadi itu saya rasa sudah pastinya pengalaman yang cukup besar dan pengalaman itulah yang cukup saya rasa benda sesuatu yang menarik untuk See Min sendiri kongsikan dengan viewers yang sedang menonton di Facebook AKK dan YouTube AKK khususnya pada pagi ini. Jadi sebab itulah kami dari Akademi Kejuaraan Kebangsaan AKK seringkali menjemput pegawai dari ISN sendiri untuk sesi talk and share ni sebab mereka mempunyai pengalaman-pengalaman bersama atlet-atlet negara. Jadi pengalaman itulah yang kami mahukan untuk panel-panel kita berkongsi secara teruslah kepada partisipan ataupun viewers yang sedang menonton. Alright, saya rasa tanpa membuang masa saya serahkan sesi ini kepada See Min untuk selanjutnya. Dipersilakan See Min.
Okey, terima kasih. Okey, selamat pagi semua. Okay, so nama saya See Min. Okay, and untuk hari ini saya akan menyampaikan sesi ini yang berkaitan dengan protein dan applications on athletes dengan menggunakan bahasa English. Okay, so sebelum ni saya dijemput untuk memberi sesi ini dan saya tengah berfikir like apa topik yang paling sesuai untuk saya sampaikan. Okay, so saya telah decide untuk pilih topik ini sebab saya rasa protein bukan sahaja untuk atlet tetapi untuk semua orang walaupun tidak bersukan adalah sangat penting. Okay, so nanti saya akan cerita lebih banyak tentang cara penggunaan protein dalam pemakanan sukan atlet dan juga keperluan untuk semua orang. Okay. Alright, so I will move on with my presentation. Okay, so first, this is the outline. So today's session I will be presenting into two parts. Okay, so first is a general part and another one is more towards athletes. Okay, applications on athletes. So the general part I will introduce a bit on protein and what are the protein foods they have, and then what are the general recommendations for normal populations, okay? And the ways to select a healthier protein, okay? So this is suitable for everyone, no matter you are athletes or you are sedentary people. These are very important because these are the basics and fundamentals for us to practice a healthier eating in terms of protein, okay? So, and another part we'll be talking about athletes, and I will talking more about the strategies that a certain people who are involved in physical activities or maybe athletes or competitive athletes, what they can do to actually improve their muscle recovery, okay, their body composition goals, for example, like gaining muscles, okay. So all these are more applied to athletes. Okay, so I will move on with the first part first, okay, the general part, okay. Okay, so before getting into knowing the protein food, I will explain a bit on the structure of the protein. So as you can see, the amino acid, it is a simple structure of protein. So when there's a lot of amino acid bind together, it will form into a protein. It's a group of protein, okay? So all these proteins, including all our body tissue, okay, our organs, okay, and of course our muscle as well. So muscle is made up of protein. Okay, so you need to understand this first before we proceed into a more detailed part. Okay, so these are the function of protein. As most of you all might know that it is a building blocks of bones, muscles, cartilage, skins, and blood. Okay, and it's also very important to support our immune system. support the growth, especially for the adolescents, okay, for the children, okay, they need more protein to support their growth. And then it also helps to repair and building the tissue. So for example, like your cells and then your muscles, all these are considered tissue. Okay. So I guess most of y'all have seen this new pyramid from KKM. So this is the new pyramid that was published in 2020. Okay, so as you can see that we will emphasize more on the protein. Okay, protein is in the top two layer, the second layer. Okay, and the recommended protein intake is actually 3 to 5 servings per day. Okay, so as you can see there, okay, 1 serving of fish, and then 1 to 2 servings of poultry, eggs, meat, okay, and 1 serving of legumes. Okay, so we need to have variety of it, okay, instead of sticking in only one type of protein. This is because we can get variety of minerals or vitamins, okay, from variety of food. Okay, so when we are talking serving, right, okay, you all might ask like, what is how much is 1 serving of protein? Okay, so according to the picture inside, so you can actually visualize the protein size. Okay, so for example, the common one that we usually eat is the ayam. Okay, the 1 peha is actually considered 1 serving. Okay, or maybe the fish. Okay, satu ekor is actually equal to 1 serving of protein as well. Okay, or maybe you need 2 eggs to achieve 1 serving of protein. Okay, so remember, it's not only 1 egg. 1 egg is only 7 grams. So you need 2 to achieve 1 serving of protein. Okay, so how do you usually, because it is very difficult for us to remember the gram, right? Okay, so actually you can just put the protein, try to visualize it on your hand. And then if it is around 3/4 of your hand, then it is around 1 serving of protein. Okay, so this is an estimation. Okay, maybe you can practice it while you are eating your meal. Okay. Okay, so now we are talking about protein choice. Okay, when we are talking about protein, we want to eat a healthier protein, right? Even when we are saying about carbs, we want to pick a healthier carbs. Okay, but for protein, as we know, there's 2 types of protein. So red meat and white meat. Okay, how do we differentiate this? As we know that, like for example, beef, lamb, pork, all these are red meat, and white meat are like chicken. Okay, your fish. Okay, so all these are actually considered white meat. So the major difference is that one is in darker color, right? Because they have a higher myoglobin level that make it become darker. Okay, but then for white meat, it has lesser, so the color is a bit pale, a bit whitish. Okay, so the main difference here is also that red meat usually considered saturated, have high saturated fat, and white meat is lower in saturated fat. Okay, so that's why we are always recommending people to reduce the intake of red meat because of the high content of saturated fat. Okay, so if we can, then we can get variety of protein source and also from a healthier protein. Okay, so after picking the healthier protein, okay, we are going into the process of cooking. Okay, so process of cooking is very important because it also indicating whether your protein is healthy or not. Okay, so we can see the healthier one will be by steaming or grilling, that using very little amount of oil. Okay, but the less healthier one is those that usually found in fast food restaurants, okay, or maybe like Korean chicken. So all these are considered deep fried chicken. Okay, deep fried chicken is very high in fat, and when we are eating this protein food, okay, we are actually getting unnecessary calories that can actually help, that can actually increase our body fat. Okay, so you need to be wise in picking the cooking methods. Okay, so these are some of the examples of the local favorites. Okay, as from our local menus, due to our food culture, we actually, Malaysians love strong flavors of food. Okay, so for example, like butter chicken, okay, and then with sambals, and then with curry and some gravies, all these are very high calorie. Okay, so while we are aiming for sufficient protein, but at the same time, if we don't pay attention on the choice of protein, we are unintentionally getting excess fat or excess calorie from the menus. Okay, so you need to be like take care of the choice. Okay, all right. So this is the common menu in our daily diet. Okay, which is eggs. Okay, eggs is commonly known as is a good source of protein. But how we cook it, also I will use eggs as an example on to show you like how is unhealthy eggs or what is a healthier cooking method for the eggs, okay, that you can apply to the other types of food as well, protein food as well, okay. So first we can see that the unhealthy one is at the left side, okay, telur goreng sambal, telur goreng masak kicap, okay, all these is high in calorie because of the gravy, because of the sambal, okay. The acceptable one is those like telur dadah, telur mata that we use minimal amount of oil, okay, but at the same time we are getting the protein. But the best one, if let's say you have the goals of losing body weight, okay, losing body fat mass, then you might want to go for the best, okay. So telur rebus, telur kukus, okay, steamed egg, all these are using very minimal amount of oil, okay. So if you can, then try to achieve the one at the right side, okay. Okay, so and then after that, we also want to opt for a healthier choice of protein in terms of the processing of the protein. Okay, so at the left side, we see that it is a natural meat, okay, but the processed one is at the right side. So what are the differences? That the natural one, from its physical looks, you can see that it is in its original form. So before it's being cooked, it is in the same form after when it is compared to after cooking, okay. But the processed one, it is you can't really identify it in an original form, okay. So for example, nuggets, sausage, ham, okay, patty or bacons, okay, all these are very convenient, can store very long at home, but it is unhealthy, okay, because they add a lot of preservative, they add a lot of sodium. Sodium is salt that we unintentionally getting a lot of salt from processed food, okay. So if we can, we try to opt for the natural one, okay. So these are the infographic from KKM, okay. So actually you all can try to follow the nutritionist KKM Instagram. They provide a lot of informations regarding nutrition, okay. So as we see that sausage, it is not only meat, they have high sodium and then high preservative as well, okay, and it can actually increase your the bad cholesterol, okay, that we do not want, okay. So when you're trying to get protein, don't prioritize the processed food, okay, go for the natural one. And also, as you can see, the processed meat, okay, is actually ranked at the top, at the first place, that it is saying that it can cause cancer, okay. So from here, we know that in the processed meat, it has nitrite or nitrate that is actually can help in meat preservation, that help them last longer, okay. So this substance actually can cause colorectal cancer, okay, in a long term. So it is not recommended to take, okay. So I think the part for the general part is until here. So is it okay if I proceed to the applications on athletes? Okay. Okay, so I will proceed on the applications on athlete. Okay, so when we are talking protein for athletes, okay, so if you are working out in a gym or you are an athlete, you will always heard about protein, okay. But when protein come in your mind, what is the first thing that you think of? Okay, maybe you relate it with muscle gaining, okay. Maybe some of you are using it protein for recovery, okay. But do you know that how, like, the ways of eating protein, okay, can help with your muscle gaining or muscle performance or your muscle recovery. Okay, so today I will explain in details. Okay, so before we are going in, I would like to explain a bit on muscle mass. Okay, so try to imagine your muscle. Okay, muscle is like a machine that moves your body, okay, while you are exercising. Okay, try to imagine your muscle mass as the bricks of the wall. Okay, and like a big brick wall. Okay, so the amino acid is actually same as the bricks. Okay, so to form a muscle mass, we need amino acid, and amino acid is only from protein. Okay, there's only from protein. There's nothing that can provide you the substance that needed to form the muscle mass other than protein. Okay, so that's why if you want to preserve your muscle mass, you're working out, you're athletes, okay, then you need to take sufficient protein. Okay, so as you can see from this slide, okay, we have amino acid, okay, and then muscle protein. So amino acid is the one that when you ingest the protein, when you eat certain protein food, and then it digests, and then it will be break down into amino acid. Okay, so all these amino acid can combine and form into muscle mass. Okay, this process from amino acid to muscle protein, this process is actually called as muscle protein synthesis. Muscle protein synthesis. You need to remember this term because I will be repeating, I will be using this term quite often later. Okay, so muscle protein synthesis in short form is called MPS. Okay, and then from muscle, it will also break down into amino acid. So this is a natural process that even when you are sitting right now, you are listening to the session, your muscle is actually breaking down as well. Okay, so in this case, where we need to consume protein to balance up this muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown. Okay, when muscle protein synthesis is higher than breakdown, okay, then we have the gains in protein. Then in high possibility that you will gain your muscle mass. Okay, but if the breakdown that is naturally occurring in your body, it is happening already, but then you are not consuming enough protein. So there's no muscle protein synthesis, then it will be reversed. And then it will cause you muscle loss. Okay? Right? So, okay. So these are the functions of protein for athletes. Okay, so just now the one is for the general population, but for athletes, okay, it is very important to know that it is helping you to repair and replace any damaged protein. So damaged protein, which means while you are exercising, you are actually, your protein fiber, your muscle fiber is actually protein. So it's actually in a damage, okay? It undergo damage process, okay? Or it's undergoing breakdown, okay? And also as athletes, okay, other than muscles, we have the bones, we have the tendons and ligaments. Joints are very important to support the training demand. Okay, so like for example, gymnastic, there are some jumping difficulties. Okay, there's some landing impact. Okay, when you are moving your body, you need all the joints as well. Okay, so all these actually form from protein. Okay, and then support lean mass gain and immune system for general health, so that you can compete or train in a good health. Okay. Okay, so the rules of optimizing the muscle protein synthesis. So what are the rules? Do you know it? Okay, so usually people might the something that is very common, okay, that people will know, that is that how much protein I need to take in order to gain the muscle mass. Okay, but then it is actually more complex than recommending the daily protein intake. It's not about how much you eat only. Okay, so if you are professional athletes, or you are people who are going to workouts or doing resistant exercise consistently, regularly, okay, or maybe you are just on the recreationals, or you are recreationals athletes, okay, or you are just doing exercise like home workout, okay, like jogging for a few times in a week, okay, then this is something that you would like to know, okay, because we are keep using muscle. As long as you are using muscles, then this is important for you. Okay, so these are the 5 points that I will be highlighting today. Okay, so these 5 points is very important to enhance the muscle protein synthesis. So we are actually looking for muscle protein synthesis because when we have muscle protein synthesis, our muscles can recover from the training session. Okay, and also maybe if for some of you have the body composition goals to gain muscles, and then you will want to utilize all these 5 points. Okay, so first we will go into source. Okay, source of protein source. Okay, so when we are talking about protein source, right, we need to pick a good quality protein. Okay, so how do we know that if the protein that we pick is in a good quality? Okay, so first one is that we want to pick the protein source that can be digest or absorb better, okay, in our body. Okay, another thing is essential amino acid. Just now we talked about amino acid, but later I will be talking about essential amino acid. And also leucine content. So leucine is a type of protein. Okay, it's a type of protein that actually can stimulate the MPS, muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so you need to remember these 3 points to give a good quality protein. Okay, so in our body, okay, there's actually 20 types of amino acids. You remember 20 types of amino acids. But when you look at the bottom part, the orange color column, okay, there are 11 amino acid. We call it non-essential amino acid. Non-essential amino acid means those amino acid that can be synthesized by our body, which means our body can produce this non-essential amino acid. But the remaining 9 amino acid, okay, it must be obtained from the diet. Okay, it cannot be produced by our body. So we need to rely on our protein diet, okay, to get this essential amino acid. And for example, like our muscles, we need all amino acids, okay, to perform optimally. Okay, so in this EAA, essential amino acid, okay, there is 3 branch BCAA, okay, which is valine, isoleucine, and leucine. Okay, maybe you just need to remember leucine, okay, because leucine is something that is a amino acid that is very important to trigger the muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so just pay attention on the leucine and also the essential amino acid. Okay, so okay, now we're talking about protein type. Okay, why am I here again? Because it is related to the content of essential amino acid. Okay, so let's say for now, you can see that animal-based and plant-based. Okay, animal-based, we know that it is our meat. Okay, chicken, poultry. Poultry is chicken. Okay, eggs, dairy products, seafood, fish. Okay, and plant-based are, for example, like tofu, tempeh. Okay, all the beans, lentils, legumes. Okay, all these are examples of plant-based. So the main difference here is that for animal-based, it has complete protein. So which means just now we have talked about essential amino acid. There's 9, right? 9 essential amino acid. So which means animal-based has all 9 essential amino acid. It is complete set. But then for plant-based, okay, they don't have all 9. Maybe they are lacking of 1, or maybe they are lacking of 2. Okay, so that's why we are always saying that animal-based protein is a better quality protein because it has a complete set of essential amino acid. Okay, but there's another difference here is that it has higher saturated fat. Okay, but plant-based have lower saturated fat. Okay, so for those that some of the people might switch to plant-based protein intake because they would like to control their saturated fat intake, okay, maybe their cholesterol levels, okay, or maybe it is because of self-belief. Okay, so when we are telling that animal-based is the superior quality, having a superior quality of protein compared to plant-based, but you need to be careful in taking. You need to take in moderation because it is still high in saturated fat. When you're taking more, then you will tend to get more saturated fat as well. at the same time, cooking method is very important. Okay, we do not want any excessive calorie intake or fat intake. Okay, so from this graph, we are seeing the essential amino acid and leucine content of different protein sources. Okay, so when you see the bars at the vertical side, the y-axis, it is actually indicating the compositions of the food. Okay, so like the EAA have how many percent of it are EAA, okay, essential amino acid. So as we can see that animal source is the red bar and the plant source is at the right bar. So animal source it is very obvious to see that animal source have higher essential amino acid compared to the plant source, okay? But when we are looking into leucine, okay, we can also see that animal source tend to have higher leucine content compared to plant source, right? Okay, but something that I would like to highlight is that even plant source, generally they have lower leucine, but there is some plant source protein that have high leucine content. So which is the corn, okay? Actually, quinoa is also having some high leucine content. Okay, so all these are actually, it is preferred if you are only getting plant source protein, okay, because of its high leucine content. Because when we have high leucine, then it is actually stimulate our muscle protein synthesis. Okay. Okay, so let's say any of you are practicing vegetarian diet. Okay, if yes, maybe you can drop a comment over there. Okay, and okay, so if you are practicing plant-based diet or vegetarian, so you might want to look at this. Okay, because these are when we are saying that animal-based protein have complete protein, okay, but then plant-based is incomplete. But does it means that those who are practicing vegetarian diet does not getting quality protein? Okay, actually you can utilize this graph, okay, this chart to get a complete protein. So the ways is actually pairing up different groups of vegetarian protein. Okay, so as you can see from here, there's group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Group 1 is the grains, grain products, and tubers. So grains and grain products are, for example, like rice, bread, all the staple food, okay, including sweet potato. So all these are considered group 1, okay. And group 2 is the milk and dairy products, okay. And for example, yogurt, okay, cheese, all these are dairy products. And also legumes, okay, legumes and also seeds. Okay, so for example, like group 1, later I will give some example behind. Okay, if you would like to have more information, you can actually visit the websites of our government websites, which is myhealth.gov.my. Okay, so I will show some of it. Okay, so first you can mix the group 1 with group 2. You can pair up, because why we are mixing it, because different groups of, or maybe different plant source, they are lacking of certain amino acid. Okay, so when they are pairing up each other, they can supply each other the amino acid that they are missing. Okay, so that can compensate it to form a complete protein. So the example here is like cereals and milk, okay, toast and yogurt, chapati and yogurt, sorry. Okay, and other examples would be like toast with dalcha and milk, okay, and then legumes with seeds, okay, and other examples would be like the pao with the lotus seed fillings, okay, and then the last group 1 and group 3, which is the grain products and legumes, okay, it is more commonly can be eaten during lunch and dinner. Okay, so we mix the rice with the soybean products, okay, or maybe the bread with baked bean. Okay. Okay, so now we'll move on to dose. Okay, dose is the part that usually people like well known. Okay, So it's like how much you need to take, okay, to optimize the muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so now I have a question here, like are these two individuals have the same protein recommendation? Okay, so try to look at this. The left one is both of them are having 50 kg, and then same age, but then in terms of their fitness level or maybe their activity level, the left one is sedentary people, okay, but the right one is the elite athletes that maybe train a few session in a day. Okay, so does this person having the same protein recommendation? Okay, so the answer is no, of course. Okay, and these are some of the recommendation of protein according to body weight. So when we are applying the recommendations for athletes, we usually will use body weight instead of a general recommendation, like how many servings for these people. Okay, so actually we need to recommend according to their body weight, because different athletes, different body weight, or maybe different body composition, they have different requirement. Okay, and also it depends on what are the populations or what types of exercise that the person is involving. Okay, so for example, here we can see in the first row, okay, the sedentary men and women. So for example, those who rarely do exercise, that mostly will just going working, okay, run the normal physical activity, then we will recommend 0.8 to 1 gram per day. Okay, later I will talk about the gram and show you some examples, like what is the portion of the food and the gram of the protein of the food. Okay, and then can see endurance might be slightly higher. Okay, and adolescents athletes who are actively growing, they also need a higher protein requirement because of the growing process. Okay, bodybuilder athletes, okay, resistant athletes tend to have a middle range. Okay, as you can see. Okay, so for the case just now, when we are comparing these two individuals, because they have different physical activity level. Okay, so one is sedentary and another one is having few sessions of training in a day. Okay, so we will recommend different protein intake. So when we are calculating according to their body weight, okay, so we got the daily protein intake recommendation. Okay, so maybe you can also try to calculate yours, okay, referring to the physical activity level. Okay, so let's say if you are sedentary, maybe you would like to pick 0.8 or 1. Okay, if you are doing resistant exercise, maybe you would like to go for 1.5. Okay, if you are athletes, maybe one that doing resistant exercise as well, then maybe you could go for 1.5 or even slightly higher. If you are looking for muscle gain, then maybe 1.6, 1.7. Okay, and it times with your body weight, then you will get this, okay, daily protein intake recommendation. Okay, so the dose recommendation, now we are talking about a meal. Okay, just now is a intake in a day, okay, but now we are talking about a meal. So in a meal, we actually recommend, according to the research, is recommending 20 to 25 gram per kg in a meal. Okay, so sorry, it is not per kg. There's some mistake. It is 20 to 25 gram of protein in a meal. Okay, it's not per kg. It will be too much. Sorry, there's a mistake over here. Okay. Okay, so here I'm showing some examples of the protein food with the protein content. Okay, so just now, for example, we want to achieve, it is recommended to achieve like around 20 grams of protein in every meal. Okay, so this slide is actually showing that how much is 20 grams of protein. So 3 eggs is actually around 21 gram, and then a chicken breast in this size is actually 25 gram, and then the fish, okay, and prawns, 6 prawns, okay, small prawns, so it's around 21 gram. Okay, how about plant-based? Okay, so plant-based, you might need to mix with each other to get complete amino acid, okay, essential amino acid, okay. So here are some the quantity of the plant-based protein and also the protein content, right? So I would like to highlight that tempeh is a rich source of protein, okay, but at the same time, you need to be careful with the cooking method because usually tempeh will be cooked in a less healthy way, okay. So these are the examples of protein that you can obtain in breakfast, okay. So for example, eggs, yogurts, milk, baked beans, cereals, wholemeal bread, okay. But all this is actually, you can see that it is in a smaller amount. It is not like a whole portion of food and you can obtain 20 grams of protein. So you can actually do some mix and match here. For example, eggs with milk, okay, or maybe cereals with milk, then you can try to achieve the recommendation, okay. So another question that I usually receive is that, is it if I take higher amount of protein, then the effect of muscle protein synthesis will be better? Okay, just now we are recommending 20 to 25 grams, okay, per meal, okay. But then does it mean that, for example, if I'm taking 50 grams, does the effect of MPS increase? Okay, does it help better with my muscle increment or maybe my muscle recovery? So the answer is not really, okay. So as we've seen some, according to some of the research, as we see here, it is recommending 20 to 25 grams. There must be a reason, okay. So when we are looking at the vertical, the y-axis, okay, it is actually the muscle protein synthesis. So which means if the graph is going higher, which means there is higher muscle protein synthesis, okay. But when we look at here, from 0 to 20 grams, it is like increasing quite significantly. But then when we are adding to 30 grams, it is just slightly increased, and to 40 grams, it is almost no increment, okay, in the first graph. But then in the second one, we can see that it shows some increase when the gram of the protein is double up. But then the effect of it does not double up. Okay, it shows some increment, but then the increment is not that big. All right. So in terms of like from here, we can see that it is recommended to have around 20 to 25. If you take any much protein, any more protein, more than 40 grams, it actually doesn't help with your muscle protein synthesis. Okay, because the maximum absorption to stimulate the muscle protein synthesis is around 40 grams. Okay, maybe 40 grams is for those that is bigger in body size that might need higher protein. Okay, as you know, when your body weight is higher, then you will need higher recommendation, right? Okay. Okay, so this is also a common question that always being asked. Does a protein supplement necessary to be added into the daily intake? Okay, so just now I have shown that some of the examples of the food and the quantity of the food, that how you can achieve 20 to 25 grams of protein in a meal, right? Okay, it actually is not that challenging, right? Okay, so does a protein supplement is needed? It actually depends on what are your goals. For example, you have a certain body composition goals, and then it also depends on what are the training that you are doing. Okay, some of the training they need higher protein requirement. Okay, or maybe if they need a stronger gain, greater gain in their lean mass, then they need higher protein supplement. And also for those athletes, for example, their daily recommendation for the protein intake is very high, and they couldn't do it with their food, okay, because they are only eating 3 to 4 meals a day, and it's very difficult, very challenging for them. So in this case, we would suggest protein supplement for them, okay, but it's still we will still prioritize the food, because when we are getting food, we are also getting other nutrients as well. Okay, like for example, vitamins and minerals. Okay, instead of a single set of nutrients all the time. Okay. All right, so next we move on to pattern. Okay, this is something interesting. Okay, we know, okay, so we already know the type of protein, the good quality protein that we need to take, and then the daily protein intake, like how much you need to take in a day or in a meal. Okay, but how do we take this? Okay, this is something that most people are neglecting, okay, or might not know about this. Okay, so we are using the case just now. Okay, for the athletes, it is recommended to have 75 gram of protein intake per day. So actually, the pattern of intake should be evenly distributed throughout the day. Okay, so let's say if this person is eating 3 meals a day, if you are eating 3 meals a day, then you need to distribute the 75 gram into 3 meals. Okay, it needs to be even. So in each meal, she is suggested to get 25 gram of protein. Is it achievable from protein food? Okay, so it is actually achievable. Okay, so from here, we would like to see why we need to evenly distribute the protein intake. Okay, so from the graph, the yellow part is actually the muscle synthesis. Okay, the bottom one is actually the muscle breakdown. Okay, so let's say just now we are saying that we need to have food, we need to have protein food to balance out the breakdown and also the synthesis. Okay, so that we can maintain our muscle mass. Okay, if we are not consuming the meal, as you can see, when a meal is eaten, okay, it needs to be contain protein. So when a protein containing meal is eaten, then the line will spike up again, which means that it actually helps with the muscle protein synthesis, because when protein breakdown, it has amino acid, and this amino acid actually helping with the muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so over time it will go down again, okay, because our muscle is breaking down, and then maybe after 3 to 4 hours, you will need to get another meal. Okay, so that we can balance up the graph. Okay, so from here, we can also see that the protein is evenly distributed from the bottom graph. Okay, so when there's training, as you can see, there's an arrow. Okay, so if when we have training, we can also increase our muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so usually after explain this graph, people will ask if the recommendation for a meal, so just now I'm saying that the recommendation for a meal is 20 to 25 gram, or for the case itself, it is 25 gram of protein per meal, right? What if I take lesser protein in the breakfast, okay, and lunch, because I don't have much choice outside, or maybe the menu that I'm ordering, they are serving very little chicken, okay? So let's say you are eating out like nasi goreng, or you are eating noodle soup. Usually the protein portion is very little, unless you can add on, okay? So if I have very little protein intake in breakfast and lunch, lower than the recommended one, if I add the one that that is missing to the dinner, so I have higher intake of protein in the dinner, can I get the same muscle protein synthesis effect too? Okay, so the answer is actually no. Okay, as you can see from the left graph, it is uneven distributed protein intake. Okay, so which means maybe in the daytime you are eating little protein, but then you load up with a lot of protein in the night time. Okay, so the graph tend to go up. Okay, so the bar is actually indicating how much protein that you are taking. Okay, and then from the line, as you can see, there's a red line and also green line, right? Okay, so the red line is indicating the minimum amount of protein needed to stimulate the MPS, muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so actually our target is to actually touching the line, at least touching the red line. But when we are reducing the intake of protein, so for example, just now in the breakfast and lunch, we are reducing. We are not even touching the line. Okay, in this case, we couldn't reach the muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so we can't balance up the breakdown. Okay, even when you spike up in the dinner, it doesn't help you to compensate, because as we know just now, 40 gram of protein, if it is more than 40 gram of protein, it doesn't help you to further improve your muscle protein synthesis. So there's a threshold. Okay, there's a maximum point. Okay, so but then when you are evenly distributed it, every time when you eat, it is actually touching the threshold. Okay, then you can have that good effect of muscle protein synthesis. So every time when you eat, you can balance up the breakdown. Okay, so when you are evenly distributed it, try to eat the protein. Make sure that in every meal, like 3 to 4 hours, you have protein in every meal. Okay, so like for example, breakfast, you have eggs, and you have milk. And then in the lunch time, make sure that you are getting enough of protein, maybe around the size of this. Okay, in a dinner as well. Okay, so if let's say just now your recommendation for a daily intake, it is higher. So just now for the female athlete is 75 gram per day, right? But if for yours it is higher, then maybe you can add on another meal, okay, at night, or maybe a post exercise meal. All right. So if you have any question, then you can just drop me in the comment section. All right. Okay, so after explaining the pattern, we will talk about timing. Okay, timing is also something interesting. Okay. Okay, so we will call this timing. So we are calling timing as a window of anabolic opportunity. Okay, so this window of anabolic opportunity is actually indicating the time frame. Okay, so when we are eating protein, when is the best time? When is the golden opportunity for us to eat, so that we can stimulate the more protein, higher muscle protein synthesis? Okay, so when is the best time? We call it as a window of anabolic opportunity. Okay, so there's two timing over here. Okay, I will explain it. Okay, so first is actually post-exercise. Okay, post-exercise, but how long it is? How long is the window? The window is actually 3 hours. 3 hours long, okay? So if you are getting protein after the exercise, after your resistance training, or after you are going to the gym, then within 3 hours, you need to get your protein intake. Okay, 3 hours is actually quite a good length of time, okay, for you to get a protein intake, because actually there's a lot of research, or maybe there you have been heard from somebody saying that, okay, protein you need to take before the training, or maybe immediately right after the training, or maybe within 45 minutes or 1 hour before the training. Okay, but actually when times goes on, and then more research and publications coming out, and actually they are showing that even if you take the protein 3 hours, like 3 hours after your training, it actually giving the same effect of muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so don't worry if you, for example, some people, they don't prefer to eat right after their training, because it could be very tired, right? Okay, it could be very tired, you have no appetite, or maybe some of you prefer to go back home to cook your own dinner. So the cooking process might need some time. Okay, but you have 3 hours time. So just make sure that you take the protein within 3 hours. Okay, and also for athletes, maybe it is they need some time for traveling from their training locations to their home. Okay, then you can actually getting, like, maybe you can get back home first and then only take your protein intake. Okay, so all this must be considered when you are planning your protein intake. Okay, so another window of opportunity is actually during your sleeping time. Okay, although you are sleeping, but then you can actually make your muscle protein to keep working. Okay, the muscle protein synthesis process is keep going. Okay, so what are the methods here? So actually, when you can see that when we are sleeping for a long period of time, as I said just now, it is recommended to get protein meal in every 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. But then when you are sleeping, okay, it is impossible for you to wake up in the middle of night and to get some protein food and then continue to sleep, right? Okay, because sleeping quality is also very important. Okay, so how do we do this is that actually it is found that we can like improve the muscle protein synthesis by getting the pre-sleep protein. Okay, pre-sleep protein. Okay, this is something considered new in these few years. Okay, and when you're taking pre-sleep protein, so all these proteins can be slowly released into amino acids in your body while you are sleeping. Okay, so this actually help you to compensate that breakdown. So to make sure that the breakdown doesn't look very bad, okay? Because after your dinner, you might sleep up 3 hours later and your body is already start breaking down the protein. Okay, so for those that looking for lean mass gain, okay, then you might want to consider this, okay? But what are the type of protein that you should take as a pre-sleep protein? So actually, when we are talking about pre-sleep protein, right, protein can be in terms of food, okay, can be in terms of drinks, okay, but usually some of us, we will take supper during late night before sleep, right? And the choice that we have in Malaysia is usually those less healthier one, okay, for example, like fast food, mama, okay, all these unhealthy food, okay, but there is protein food. Okay, so actually all these are not recommended. Okay, the recommended one is actually those single or mixed macronutrients food. So for example, like the protein drink, okay, like whey, casein protein, or milk. So all these are actually used from all the by all the research, okay, to show that actually all these drinks, all these protein drinks can actually help in stimulating the muscle protein synthesis while you are sleeping. Okay, so try to pick nutrients dense. Nutrients dense means good in nutrients. Okay, good in nutrients, but then the calorie is not too high. Okay, but from the left side is actually calorie dense, but nutrients wise is not that good. Okay, maybe the protein quality is not that good as well. Okay, so so you may consume it 30 minutes before sleeping or after dinner. Okay, so these are infographics showing the benefits of pre-sleep protein. Okay, so there's many research showing that 40 grams of pre-sleep protein is giving some benefits in terms of recovery, muscle growth, okay, increased strength, okay, but then you need to consider about this as 40 grams of protein also contribute calories. Okay, so let's say you are somebody who are on a on a weight management, okay, maybe controlling your calorie intake, okay, and just now I have showed the recommendation for the daily protein intake. So you need to take into the consideration as well. So if you are able to achieve that recommended intake, then you don't need to add on this pre-sleep protein. But if let's say you can't achieve that daily protein intake in your meal across the day, then you can top up this pre-sleep protein, okay, to fulfill the daily protein intake recommendations. Okay, so for athletes that have higher demand in the protein intake, then might consider this. Okay. Okay, so the last one would be nutrient co-ingestions. Okay, nutrient co-ingestions, which means when we are taking protein, we are taking other nutrient food as well. Okay, so the example here is so the example here is that consuming protein and also carbs together. Okay, so after exercise, actually it is recommended to consume your protein together with carbs. Okay, as carbs, it will elevate your plasma insulin concentration. So when insulin concentration is increased, it's actually giving you the effect of reduce the protein breakdown. Okay, it is giving you this good effect because we want to increase muscle protein synthesis and at the same time reduce this protein breakdown. Okay, so how to increase the muscle protein synthesis is actually by taking protein, right? Okay, when you have protein, it is break down into amino acid, and this amino acid can be absorbed to stimulate the muscle protein synthesis. So when these two nutrients work together, it can increase the net of muscle protein synthesis. So it can help you with the muscle recovery, okay, and also helping you with muscle gains, okay. So these are the research. This is a research that's showing when you are after exercise, when you are taking carbohydrate drink only, or maybe carbohydrate food, okay, or maybe protein drink, or a mixture of carbohydrate and protein drink. So it is actually giving you different effect, and the highest of the nutrients that can generate highest muscle protein synthesis is actually the mixture of carbs and amino acid. Okay. Okay. So, but then something that you need to remember is that for optimal muscle recovery, okay, it's not only by protein. Okay, there's three things that you need to emphasize on or pay attention on is a 3R. Okay, refuel, repair, and rehydrate. So refuel, which means we after our training session, we actually use up some of the carbohydrate store, right? Okay, so we need to get some carbohydrate stores to replenish the store. Okay, and then next is to repair. So repair is by protein. Okay, pick the good quality protein and then consume it within 3 hours after training. Okay, and then it can help you with muscle tissue repair. Okay, and the last one that we haven't touched yet is the rehydrate. Rehydrate because during our training session we tend to sweat a lot, right? When we sweat, we lost the fluid, we tend to have electrolyte loss as well. Okay, so we need to replenish the fluid to make sure that we are in a good hydration state. Okay, so in summary, so I would just want to highlight some important points that you can apply, okay, in your daily activities, in your daily trainings. Okay, so first is the source. Okay, just to remind a bit on the source of the protein, pick the good quality one. Okay, so when you have animals and plant source, pick animals will be the more superior protein. Okay, because it has full set of essential amino acid. But it is also possible for you to mix different groups of plants, plant-based protein to get the complete protein. Okay, so don't worry if you're a vegetarian or somebody who are practicing vegetarian diet. Okay, and also focus more on the protein that have high leucine content. Okay, the next one will be the dose. Okay, recommendation is according to the weight. Okay, you need to decide the recommendation, the dosage according to your physicals or types of training. Okay, and in a meal, the general recommendation will be 20 to 25 gram. Sorry, there's a mistake again. It's a 20 to 25 gram per meal, okay, without the kg. Okay, this is for a meal. Okay, and then the third one is pattern. Okay, distribute your protein in an even pattern. Okay, make sure that you are taking protein in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, like for example, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you must have protein, and make sure that the amount of protein that you are taking is even. Okay, so you can divide it from the total daily protein intake. So the last one is the timing. So we are talking about the window of anabolic opportunity. When is the best time to consume the protein? Okay, so there's two that I have mentioned. So it is a post exercise within 3 hours. You can get your protein food. Okay, even when you are cooking rice with some side dishes of protein. So it is also considered protein as well. Okay, it is not a must to have protein drink. Okay, and another one will be pre-sleep protein, but this need to be considered together with the daily protein intake, whether it is necessary or not. Okay, and the final one will be nutrients core injections. Okay, so for a better effect of muscle protein synthesis, you want to add protein together with carbs. So for example, your dinner, when you're eating spaghetti, okay, eating it with your protein sauce. Okay, maybe you are getting some milk and then maybe eat it with the sandwich with eggs. Okay, so these are the examples of proteins and carbs. Okay. Okay, so the key of muscle health, okay, so everyone are very concerned about muscle, sorry, your muscle mass, because when you're working out, you tend to grow muscles, or maybe you want to maintain muscles. Nobody want to lose muscle, right? Okay, because muscle is the machine that keeps us going, and it is actually helping us with the metabolism. Okay, so we want to keep our muscle healthy and to prevent the further loss of muscle, because when you are getting older, you will tend to lose muscles. But how do we minimize the loss? Okay, so you need to avoid the protein deficiency. Okay, take the protein evenly across the day. Okay, in every meal, maintain protein balance. Okay, so just now I have mentioned that we have breakdown, we have synthesis, but how do you stimulate that synthesis? Okay, by eating right food, good quality protein, good timing. Okay, be physically active. So if you are a sedentary person, then try to start with some activities that can keep you moving. Okay, even if you don't have much time, maybe in the working place you can take some exercise with walking on the stairs. Okay, so it's actually helping you to stimulate your muscles fiber so that keep the muscle protein synthesis going on. Okay, and ability to increase the protein turnover in response to damage. Okay, so this is very important by doing by taking care of your diet. So for example, like after the resistance training exercise, okay, the damage means like from the exercise. Okay, then how do you recover it? So we are emphasizing on muscle recovery. Okay, it is mostly by the diet as well. Okay, yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. So I hope that the information that I've shared is actually helpful for you. Okay, no matter you are in which physical activity level, or whether you are an athlete or you are a coach. So hope that it can help. And if you have any questions, then feel free to leave in the comment box. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Simin, for a very good presentation. Alright, so kita ada, kalau tengok dekat bahagian komen ni ada satu soalan, tapi saya nak simpan dulu soalan tu sebab saya nak ajukan soalan dari saya sendiri. Okay, ni maybe it's about the general part, yang the first part of your presentation tadi, tentang how much important for pengambilan protein yang untuk general people, untuk public people, bagi mereka yang ingin turunkan lemak badan. Jadi adakah pengambilan protein itu penting untuk orang yang ingin turunkan lemak badan? Bagaimana pendapat dari sudut pandangan Simin?
Okay, terima kasih Abdul. Okay, so for those population that would like to reduce weight, right? Because I think a lot of people want to reduce fat mass. Okay, so it's actually still important for you to get enough protein. Okay, because we need to try to maintain our muscle. So when we are having body fat loss, right? Okay, we don't want to lose it from our muscle. We want to lose it from our body fat. Okay, and also this muscle mass is actually generate our metabolism. So this is a mass for our metabolism. So when we are reducing the fat mass, okay, you need to preserve your muscle so that you can maintain a good metabolism. But how do you maintain the muscle is that actually by eating enough protein food, like the tips that I have shared just now, and also doing some resistant exercise. Okay, so this is very important for those who want to have weight loss. Okay, do not try to practice some crash diet that actually can be harmful for your muscle.
Sebab mungkin banyak sekali kat luar sana mungkin boleh kita katakan tentang mitos tentang something yang tak perlu ambil protein untuk lagi cepat, untuk lagi express bagi dia orang mereka ini untuk turunkan lemak ataupun turunkan berat badan. Sebab kalau kita tengok balik, ramai yang nak fasa untuk peralihan kepada turun lemak, turun berat badan itu berlaku dengan cepat, tetapi ianya mengambil satu orang kata fasa yang dinamakan proses. Alright, so satu lagi, yes, boleh Min?
Mungkin saya nak tambah sikit sebab mungkin ramai yang tengah menjalankan macam weight management ataupun untuk turunkan lemak badan, mungkin mereka terfikir nak ambil protein supplement. So sebenarnya mereka kena berhati-hati jika ingin mengambil protein supplement sebab dia merupakan kalori yang berlebihan. Okay, so tapi waktu kita nak menjalankan fat loss, sebenarnya kita nak cut down kalori kan. Tapi jika tidak digunakan dengan betul, mungkin akan menjadi penambahan kalori. Okay, so jika anda sedang menjalankan penurunan berat badan ataupun lemak badan, okay, cuba emphasize dekat protein source yang dekat makanan anda. Okay, instead of ambil extra.
Alright.
Yes.
Right, satu lagi soalan Simi. Okay.
Yes.
Mungkin yang ni saya rasa sangat baguslah untuk Simin sendiri kongsikan sebab Simin dah ada jaga national athlete lebih-lebih lagi dengan combat sport, betul. Right, so nak tanya mungkin ada spesifik protein, itu soalan pertama, mungkin ada spesifik protein untuk atlet-atlet combat ini, lebih-lebih lagi masa preparation untuk Sukan SEA Games baru-baru ini. And then soalan kedua, adakah mungkin Simin boleh ceritakan tentang kepentingan protein itu untuk atlet combat sport ni?
Oh, okay. Boleh. Okay, so bagi pengambilan protein bagi atlet combat sport, sebenarnya bagi atlet combat sport sebab mereka ada high demand untuk strength mereka, strength and power kan. Macam tumbukan, semua pergerakan, semua memerlukan strength and power yang sangat tinggi. Okay, so sebenarnya strength and power ni sebenarnya berkaitan dengan muscle mass kita. Okay, so kita kena dalam preparation phase sebenarnya kita akan buat body composition assessment, ujian komposisi badan. So untuk kita akan menilai komposisi badan mereka dari segi macam otot, lemak mereka, so that to make sure that otot mereka dapat dikekalkan waktu berdekatan dengan competition. So kita akan memberi cadangan dari segi apa cara pengambilan protein, okay, untuk atlet ataupun mungkin suplemen diperlukan pada waktu-waktu training yang tertentu. So kita kena tahu training program mereka and then intensity training macam mana, dan kita akan prescribe accordingly lah bersama dengan mereka punya training program, so that mereka dapat kekalkan muscle mereka, so that akan kekalkan performance mereka juga, untuk make sure nanti pergi ke dekat game mereka dapat perform lah. And also kalau waktu game sebenarnya protein agak penting juga untuk recover. So mungkin mereka ada perlawanan dari hari pertama and then ada yang repeated game lah. So sebenarnya selepas game hari pertama sangat penting untuk mereka recover muscle, so that mereka dapat perform dengan dekat tahap yang optimum lah hari yang kedua macam tu. Tapi dekat Hanoi mungkin ada challenging sikit dari segi pemakanan protein sebab pembekalan halal food mungkin kekurangan, okay, ataupun limited. So bagi atlet mungkin mereka akan bawa pack food sendiri yang dengan sumber protein, so that dekat sana mereka dapat makan protein and also untuk encourage muscle recovery lah. Yes.
Mungkin saya boleh katakan juga apa yang mungkin saya boleh rumuskan balik apa yang Simin katakan tadi. Bagaimana seorang atlet itu bila dia dah fasa build phase, fasa pembinaan untuk masa-masa dalam untuk menghadapi kejohanan itu, And then bila dah sampai satu masa dalam a week before competition ataupun masa competition itu sendiri, itu adalah satu cabaran untuk seorang pegawai pemakanan sukan sendiri untuk the maintenance phase untuk mengekalkan kata muscle itu. Sebab bila lagi macam Simi katakan jugalah, bila combat sport ni sangat penting untuk mereka mengekalkan muscle mass itu sendiri. Alright, so thank you Simin. Alright, so kita ke soalan dari participant di ruangan komen. Mungkin saya boleh upkan dekat screen dari Mr. Kerilo. Okay, when you mention protein plus carb, peanut butter protein plus bread carb is okay also, right? Nah, itu soalan dia.
Okay. Okay. So ini adalah salah satu contoh yang dalam slide tadi. So sebenarnya macam untuk peanut butter and bread. Okay. So sebenarnya peanut butter, okay, dia kena ikut target sendiri. So contohnya kalau orang tu dia nak turunkan berat, like lemak badan, and then sebenarnya peanut butter ni kurang sesuai sebab dia dikira walaupun nutrient dia okay, tapi dia kira high calorie juga. Okay, so kalau boleh, mungkin boleh tukar jenis protein yang lain yang lebih sesuai lah. So kalau peanut butter, dia ada sumber protein tetapi sumber lemak tu agak tinggi juga. So jika ambil peanut butter pun kena in moderation lah.
Okay, baik. The keywords is a modification, betul, untuk pastikan tujuan asal itu tidak tersasar lah daripada pengambilan mengikut kalori yang betul. Right. Diharapkan jawapan dari Simin itu dapat Mr. Gerillo terima apa yang dijawab oleh Puan Simin tadi. Alright, so next question dari Puan Zicia. Okay, vegetarian aim to reduce fat mass. Is it okay to take eggs together with egg yolks in daily meals?
Okay, so like for example for eggs, right? Maybe there's some myth saying that in a day you can't take exceeding how many egg yolks in a day, okay? Because it will increase your cholesterol levels and everything. Okay, but then it's actually not something that is established, which means there is no rule saying that you can't eat like excess exceed how many eggs in a day. Okay, but then it's recommended to maybe limit it in three eggs per day. Okay, but then increase the variety of the protein source. So it is actually okay to take egg yolks. Okay, but what is more important is the cooking method of the food that you are taking. Okay, if you are aim to reduce fat mass. So when you are taking eggs, then what are the cooking method that you are using? So this is I think the thing that you need to emphasize on. Yes.
Right, thank you. Alright, so mungkin kita boleh pilih soalan terakhir dari rakan. Saya boleh. Okay, dari Religion Way. Okay, any advantages of protein from peanut butter compared to soya beans? Your answer?
Okay, so for example, like peanut butter, okay, because it is used as a spread, so it is impossible for us to take in a very big amount, right? So we can only use it as spread, and it's also high in fat mass, okay? And then, but compared to soya beans, actually soya beans, I would say that it is a better source of protein, okay, because it has high EAA and leucine amino acid as well. Okay, I would say that soya bean will be a better option when comparing to peanut butter, because in soya bean it is you can take in a certain amount to achieve the daily protein intake recommendation, but for peanut butter it's a bit difficult. Maybe you need to add on with the other protein source.
Right, so that's the answer berkenaan dengan advantages protein dari peanut butter compare dengan soya beans ni. Right, so saya pilih lagi satu soalan, boleh Simin? Kita ada lagi lebih kurang 5 minit sebelum kita stop.
Okay.
Kita pun nak solat Jumaat lepas ni. Alright, so mungkin soalan dari orang yang sama, dari Mr. Gary Loh. Okay, different athlete, different protein requirement. What the recommendation for endurance athletes, for example, marathoners or ultra runners? Right, a good question lah, saya rasa.
Oh yeah, I think this is a good question. Okay, thank you, Gary. Okay, so the recommendation for endurance athlete, as I showed in the previous slide just now, is actually 1.6 gram per kg body weight. Okay, so you can times 1.6 with your body weight, but let's say if you are a hardcore marathoner, okay, or ultra marathoners that maybe it is longer in the time, like longer in duration, then you might want to go a little bit higher, like 1.8 or even 2, okay? But then actually, usually endurance athletes, it will the protein requirement, the protein intake can actually obtain because they will have increased portion of food. Okay, so usually they can obtain it from the food as well. Okay, but maybe you can try to observe it with the ways that I'm showing, like the food portion, and try to see if you are able to achieve. So if no, then maybe you want to increase an extra meal, okay, other than the breakfast, lunch, dinner, okay, or maybe you want to top up in each meals. Yeah. So hope that answers your question.
Okay, saya rasa jawapan daripada Simin tadi tu berkenaan dengan different athlete, different protein requirement dari Mr. Gary tu akan merumuskan lah sesi kita, melengkapkan sesi kita pada pagi ini. Terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada semua yang menonton dari Facebook, AKK. Terima kasih juga kepada Simin sendiri kerana sudi untuk meluangkan masa bersama dengan Akademi Kejuaraan Kebangsaan dalam sesi Talk and Share series keempat ini. Satu sesi yang bagi saya cukup penuh dengan informasi berkaitan dengan protein kepada atlet, dan juga ada selitkan kepada general tadi pada awal-awal slide presentation slide tadi. Terima kasih sekali lagi Simin kerana bersama-sama dengan AKK pada pagi ini. Dan kepada anda di luar sana, jangan lupa untuk tekan link di bahagian pin komen tu, saya ada sertakan untuk pendaftaran pada pagi ini. Alright, nanti kita akan share dekat email lah untuk e-certificate buat anda semua yang menonton pada pagi ini. Alright, itu sahaja dari saya, Wan Kadir Azwar dan Simin selaku panel pada hari ini. Diharapkan kita jumpa lagi di program akan datang anjuran Akademi Kejuaraan Kebangsaan. Terus berikan sokongan kepada program-program anjuran Akademi Kejuaraan Kebangsaan dan juga Institut Sukan Negara. Alright, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera.
Okay, terima kasih semua.
To turn a good athlete into a great one, it takes more than just training. It is also important to have a scientifically based and proven program that will enhance an athlete's performance at every stage, from the grassroots to the national level. This combination of sports and science is key in making today's complete athlete. At ISN, we do this through our key focus areas of sports science, sports medicine, and sports technology. To achieve our vision of excellence in science, medicine, and technology in sports, we measure several parameters and develop ways to improve every athlete's performance potential through sports science.
Over here, we go through physical conditioning because it helps to maintain and enhance our body strength, so that we will be able to endure repetitive or hard physical manual during training and competition.
Before the game starts, we need to learn about the sport science first. Biomechanics is a part of the sport analysis. They help us to analyze our wushu movements because we have lots of difficulties, the jumping, the balancing. At the time we training, we cannot focus so much on every part of our body. So that's why we need all this support to help us to analyze all the movement, all the balancing elements on our bodies.
We do fitness tests in two setups, which are field tests and lab tests. Both of these tests will give us important numbers which represent athletes' performance. As for training monitoring, every number during the training sessions are very important, which include heart rate, blood lactate value, positive exertion, time taken, speed, total distance covered to make sure they achieve their peak during competitions.
Everyone knows that nutrition is very important to the human body, but it is more important when you are an athlete. At ISN, the nutritionist will monitor our diet and supplement to enhance our performance and recovery.
Psychology lab is really important because it helps me to better prepare myself in terms of mental, and through analysis after the competition we were able to understand what actually happened during the games and what can I do to improve myself so that I'll be prepared towards the next competition.
It is the mission of ISN to deliver world-class integrated sports science, sports medicine and sports management services in a suitable, effective manner towards maximizing athletes' performance.
Sports massage helps to elevate our muscle pains and align our body back into shape. It is often that in high level of competition, athletes get injured. This is where physiotherapy helps us get back into action quickly. When we get serious injuries, we have to go through ultrasound, MRI and X-rays by doctors and specialists here at ISN, which is much faster than going to the hospital. After a tough training session or maybe a tournament, we will go to the ice lab where process aids in quicker muscle recovery and relaxation.
Okay, all in all, what we're trying to do is to improve the overall performance and how to enhance athlete performance in ISN. We use all these labs to test the athletes and also to improve in terms of training or help the athletes to recover fast and get back into their performance. And we also have research and technology and development, whereby we develop tools to enhance or help the sport practitioners to do the testing and etc.
The National Coaching Academy, AKK, is a division under the National Sports Institute of Malaysia, functioning as a one-stop accreditation and education center for sports coaching. With the application of sports science, our athletes will rise to greatness. Because at ISN, sports meets science, the place where legends are made.